צלול כיין, וריח אורנים, נישא ברוח הערביים, עם כל פעמונים, ובתרדמת אילן ואבן, שבויה בחלומה. העיר אשר בדד יושבת, ובליבה חומה. ירושלים של זהב, ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. ירושלים של זהב, ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. איך יבשו בורות המים, כיכר השוק ריקה, ואין פוקד את הר הבית בעיר העתיקה. ובמערות אשר בסלע מייללות רוחות, ואין יורד אל ים המלח בדרך יריחו. ירושלים של זהב, ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. ירושלים של זהב, ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור, כינור. יברה.
חזק וברוך, חזק וברוך.
חזק וברוך, חזק.
מים של זהב. בכבוד.
חזק, חזק.
חזק, חזק ונתחזק.
Hazak Hazan.
The old version. That was a combination of the old and the new.
Yes. ברוך תהיה, ברוך תהיה. בכבוד הרב הנכבד.
חזק וברוך, Cantor Ben Lolo.
ברוך תהיה חביבי.
I hope I could share a few words with some of you. You know, I'm not going to speak so much about the historical event because I think I wasn't even born. 7. So I'm sure that that part, a lot of you know a lot better that actually lived at that moment. I can only tell you that I hear stories as growing up. I was born in Israel myself, and growing up, I heard stories from uncles, from aunts, from grandparents. My father himself was a soldier. So I heard the stories, but never actually historically lived the moment. Nevertheless, I'd like to share with you something about Yerushalayim and somewhat try to connect it to this time pre-Shavuot, Parashat Bamidbar, something short. But I'll start with an anecdote that's brought down at the end of Masechet Makot. It's a very well-known anecdote with Rabban Gamliel, if I'm not mistaken. Rabbi Akiva, I know for sure, was there. We'll read together a piece of the Gemara, very well-known Gemara. It says as follows. So the Gemara concludes with many stories apropos the tribulations of exile and hope for redemption. The Gemara relates an anecdote as follows. And it once was that Rabban Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, imagine these great sages, Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Akiva were walking along the road in the Roman Empire. And they heard the sound of the multitudes of Rome from Puteoli at a distance of 120 miles. It means that the city was so large that they were able to hear its tumult from a great distance. And the other sages began weeping. And Rabbi Akiva was laughing. They said to him, "For what reason are you laughing?" Rabbi Akiva said to them, "And you, for what reason are you weeping?" They said to him, "These Gentiles who bow to false gods and burn incenses to idols dwell securely and tranquilly in the colossal city. And for us, the house of the footstool of our God, the temple, is burnt." That was the first episode. The Gemara relates another incident involving those sages. On another occasion, the Gemara says they were ascending to Jerusalem after the destruction of the temple. When they arrive at Mount Scopus and saw the site of the temple, they rent their garments in mourning, and keeping the halachic practice of when we come to Temple Mount, we tear a shirt, a piece of clothing. When they arrived at Temple Mount, they saw a fox that emerged from the side of the Holy of Holies. They began weeping again. And Rabbi Akiva was once again laughing. They said to him, "For what reason are you laughing?" Rabbi Akiva said to them, "For what reason are you weeping?" They said to him, "This is the place concerning which it is written, and the non-priest who approaches shall die, and now foxes walk in it. And shall we not weep?" Rabbi Akiva said to them, "This is why I am laughing. It is written, when God revealed the future to Prophet Isaiah." I'm not going to get into the prophecy now because it's a little bit, but bottom line is that Rabbi Akiva told them that he based his laughter on two prophecies. One prophecy says that, what prophesies great, terrible things to the Jewish people. And they happen. But there's another prophecy of Isaiah that prophesies of great miracles to the Jewish people when they're coming back into the land of Israel, especially to Jerusalem. So Rabbi Akiva tells him, now that I see this prophecy materialize, the bad prophecy, the destruction of the temple, I am sure that in the future we will see the prophecy that will eventually bring the coming of the third temple. So I'm happy. The greater the destruction, as our sages says in the end of Ta'anit, the greater the redemption. And so Rabbi Akiva was laughing. But what we really maybe learn from this is it's only one perception. Rabbi Akiva was able to see the good and the positive in every single thing. Of course, were the Chachamim wrong to weep coming to the temple and seeing the destruction? Of course they were not wrong. But they were not able to see what Rabbi Akiva was able to see. Rabbi Akiva was able to see the good, the positive, the light that there is even in the darkness, the positive element that there is in the destruction itself, which prophesies a redemption to the Jewish people. I think this could be, now what does this have to do besides the fact that the story is in Jerusalem? What does it have to do with Yom Yerushalayim? Without getting into too many politics, which I really don't like. I don't like politics whatsoever. But I'll say one thing. When in 1967, when finally the Israeli army decided to move into Jerusalem, which was not part of the plan initially whoever knows a little bit of the history of Ben Gurion, as I mentioned it this morning, that went into Eshkol's office and tells him, this is the opportunity right now. We took over all these countries. We crushed everyone. This is the time to take Jerusalem into our hand. And it was really an emergency cabinet sitting, and they decided on the spot. And then, thank God, Baruch Hashem, we prevailed and we got Jerusalem in our hand. But even then, at that incredible moment, a moment of miracle, whoever has real honesty to look at the events, even then there were people saying, no, it wasn't a miracle, it shouldn't have happened, it's not good, we're waiting for something else. And on the other hand, obviously, there were many people that were cheering and happy and celebrating the unification of Jerusalem. So we see that the truth is that in everything we could always try to find the bad thing the bad thing in every, and even in a miracle, one could say, no, it's not the hands of God, it's something else, it's a distraction, it's Maseh Satan, without getting into the details. But at the bottom line is, whoever has eyes in his head, Chacham she'enav berosho, that has a little bit of eyes and a little bit of faith, understand that 1967 and getting back Jerusalem into our hand was a real miracle, a really modern day miracle. And excuse me, sorry, somebody was calling. And that's
why did he laugh in the first one when they heard the noises?
Because yeah, that was a part that Rabbi Akiva expressed himself by saying, Im le'ovre retzono kacha, le'oseh retzono al echad kama v'kama. If Hashem gives so much to those that go against His will, imagine how much more will He give to those that go and follow His path of life. So, and therefore, that's why the first one, Rabbi Akiva said what he said. Just to relate it a little bit, I thought about an idea of that connection to, and I'll finish with this point. I should have asked, maybe Rabbi White wanted to say a few words. I'm sorry, Rabbi White. If Rabbi would like to say a few words after, I would like, but I'd like to just one last reflection about the first census that we see also in this week's parasha, in Parashat Bamidbar, and a little bit of the connection to Shavuot and Yom Yerushalayim. So the first census, which counted those who left Egypt, took place on Rosh Chodesh Iyar, a month after the Mishkan was completed. Right? There was another census that taken when the Mishkan was built, right? And they needed the silver, and they used the silver for the Adanim, which are the sockets of the Mishkan. That was 6 months later. The numbers that are counted in both sense are both identical. They're both the same numbers. So the question is, why were they counted only 6 months apart? Why would they needed to, count once, and 6 months later they counted a second time? So one of the Farshim, one of the commentaries says that the first counting was communal and anonymous. Right? There was not an individual counting like when they brought the Adanim, they brought the sockets to the Mishkan, which was, the second counting was more individualistic. It was done by tribe, and each person was counted by Moshe. So communal census and individual one. Now, just of a thought that among the Jewish people, there's I would say 2 types of communities: the melting pot and the salad bowl. There are different times where we need each of these types of community. This is really highlighted by the second census. Why? Sometimes individuality needs to be put aside for the sake of unity, right? We have a community, and sometimes when we're counting the community, the individual is kind of pushed to the side. Rabbi Soloveitchik, Allah Shalom, spoke many times about this idea of a community and the tension that there is between the individual and the community. So there's two senses. There's, like for example, in the Chet HaEgel, right? Especially in a wake of national tragedy, the individual kind of is put to the side, and what is more important is the community. Sfirat HaOmer teaches us the importance of absolute commitment to Torah, while at the same time allowing people to express themselves as individuals. We have to be committed to truth while still appreciating every human and everyone's contribution, be it a soldier putting on his or life on the line so we can live our lives, or the founders who set up the infrastructure of the state of Israel. Every time through different history and different times, both of these elements are important. Important of being together as a community, being together as a whole of Klal Israel, and at times where we are as individuals, but individuals that are united as one community, which is kind of like a little bit of the opposites: community, and at the same time within the community finding your individual person and contributing to the community. We see that the same thing with Jerusalem, right? The very name of Jerusalem is composed of Ira, which is reverence, right? Yehu, and Shalem, which means peace, right? And which is really embodies the duality. When you want to be passionate about Torah, make sure that the Torah includes Ahavat Israel. So when we learn Torah, the bottom line is as the Zohar says, Kuchabrichu ve'oraita ve'Israel kul echad, right? As being united together, and Torah should be the one that's bringing us together in unity and celebrating this great day of Yerushalayim and thanking the greatest mitzvah. One of the greatest mitzvah that we have in the Torah is a karat tov, right? To recognize the miracles and the good that we have received from Hashem, and He gave us that day, and He gave us many other things. But today we're celebrating Yerushalayim as having back this Ira Shalem, this Yerushalayim. Maybe His will that speedily we could go to Yerushalayim together in the third temple, the third Beit HaMikdash, להקריב זבחים על הזבחים, and we can end Yerushalayim and be together and united and have the Beit HaMikdash. ברוכים תהיו.